and so I think we are in a position to start. Okay.
Yes, Guruji.
So first of all, I want to mention that I learnt a certain branch of Vedic astrology from an extraordinarily gifted and a very, very great master, Professor Vinod Kumar Chowdhury. Unfortunately, he passed away in August of this year, earlier this year. So I want to dedicate this international conference on Vedic astrology to Professor Vinod Kumar Chowdhury. And I attended 6 of his international conferences along with my wife in Delhi. And I wrote up the conference proceedings because the systems approach, the entirety of it got internalized by itself. It just happened by itself. And I loved the man a great deal because he was moving with us as our friend. He came with us to the shops and he ate with us lunch and dinner. He cracked jokes with us, and I was very glad to find that I don't read newspapers. And I find that he doesn't read newspapers. I was very happy to know that. And he's a very, very great master and brilliant original and very humanitarian. His family culture is such that they read Tulsidasa's Ramcharitramanas on a daily basis at home for about half an hour. And his son, Sri Rajesh Kumar Chowdhury, he's a chartered accountant, but he's also a very brilliant Vedic astrologer. So this conference is dedicated to Professor Chowdhury, and I want to just say a word of thanks to, especially to Chandarji, because he took care of the technology and working closely with Madhuji, and Mr. Sriram and his son Mr. Srikanth, a visual education. They have done a great job in getting this off the ground. So thank you very much, Srikanth-ji, and to you and your father and to your team. So I think we can begin.
Yes,
yes.
Yes, Guruji. So I would like to begin this the conference by basic fundamental questions that common people might want to understand and learn about astrology itself. So what is the objective? What is the objective of this conference, and what is the purpose of Vedic astrology in itself?
All right. So you've asked actually 2 questions.
Yes, Guruji.
Now the first question is, as I told you, I attended 6 international conferences which Professor Chowdhury conducted in Delhi.
Yes, Guruji.
And I used to sit right next to him, like how both of us are sitting, and follow the conferences very closely. But his conferences were very exceptional because the entire conference was not in the form of heavyweights giving keynote address and then giving some big talks, and but the whole conference was based on questions and answers.
Yes,
now that was very good. A lot of people, there were usually about 20-25 people, 25 people was the usual amount, and all seriously interested. So they'll ask questions. But in my study of Jyotish, I found that it's always very easy to ask the first question, but it is much more difficult to pick the second question from the answer to the first question.
Okay.
So your teacher or your guru, he will answer your question.
Yes.
But then you've got to look at that answer very critically. And out of that ground will arise a second question. And so you got to, that way you'll be going deeper and deeper. And that creates learning. Now, I find that in all the international conferences, I've attended international conferences in science as well,
yes,
in frontline research and physics. And I find that people do research in a particular year, let's say 1981, 1982. So they want to showcase the results of the research for that year. So there's an international conference on cosmic rays International Conference on Solid State Physics, so they'll showcase the results. But this conference is very different. It aims to create an understanding of Vedic astrology, which is not there in the world, in the mainstream culture.
Yes, Guruji.
Instead of understanding, there is a prejudice and there is a suspicion of Vedic astrology. And there is a skepticism about Vedic astrology. So my idea is to make an impact on the mainstream culture.
Yes,
And where the resistance to Jyotish is coming probably from atheists, probably from a lot of rationalists, probably from a lot of scientists who do not understand what this discipline is.
Okay, so the whole point of people making this commentary or making the conclusion about Vedic astrology is coming from a place of ignorance, or it's coming from a place of lack of understanding.
Lack of understanding.
So one of the main purpose, can we say, of this conference is to actually encourage every individual, whether he knows astrology or he doesn't know astrology, is to encourage them to inquire into it and actually investigate into it and not just believe.
Right.
Because nowadays this, I mean, for a long time, Vedic astrology is there in one side of a newspaper with a weekly horoscope, right? And that looks so dumb and stupid. So sorry to say that, but that is how it is.
Right.
And people listen to that and they think that, oh, this is all astrology is all about. To some it fits them, to some it doesn't. So there is no real inquiry. So that is what you're saying, is that there is no real investigation into that. Therefore, our conference is basically to encourage people to not just believe those blind things and say this is what it is, but actually study the depth of this knowledge.
Right. As such, what exists in the mainstream is either you like Vedic astrology, like you find in all the YouTubes, either you like it or you don't like it.
Yes.
Now, the people who like it because Vedic astrology seems to very tragically and very sadly pamper desire and fear. Pamper and pacify fear and pamper desire. Vedic astrology seems to be doing it. So the rationalists and the scientists are very clear thinkers. They're very intelligent people.
Yes, Guru.
It's not that they're stupid, they're very intelligent. Now they find it beneath their dignity to go to an astrologer seeking some solace for some misery, personal misery which they have, or asking a question like, when will my daughter get married? They find the whole thing obnoxious.
Yes, Guru.
Now, therefore, they're not able to respect Vedic astrology. Now, they need to be shown a different face of Vedic astrology, which is magnificent, which is very profound, and which is very provocative to their whole stand in life.
And those scientists and Nobel laureates must also be open enough to first learn before making a statement.
Absolutely.
That is also very important.
Absolutely. There is a prejudice, as I said.
Yes.
There is an existing prejudice.
Yes.
And it is not that all of us here, we are interested in dispelling that prejudice. No, we may not succeed in dispelling the prejudice, but because whether the prejudice will stick there and continue for a long time, or whether the cloud of prejudice will go away, is in the hands of those people who hold those prejudices.
Yes, correct.
Now, it will be a great thing if they can listen to us.
Yes. Yes.
Now, our thing is really with a lot of other people in the mainstream, innocent people,
Yes, sir.
who are usually looking towards these rationalists and these scientists for the last word and for the light on any subject.
Yes, Guruji.
Now, I want to challenge that, because you're looking up to somebody and somebody is making a statement about a discipline about which he knows nothing. Now, you need to know that other people are also making statements about Vedic astrology.
Yes, Guruji.
And they are more encouraging and they are more liberating. And they should know that such a window is opening for them.
Yes, Guruji.
So that's the whole idea of this conference.
And there are also many Vedic, many people who are interested in astrology. They want to understand, but they don't know which way to go.
Where to go.
Where to go.
Right.
And so this conference will be an amazing opening for such
Absolutely.
people as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
And the second question is, in what way is Vedic astrology useful?
Useful.
Yeah. Now, Vedic astrology gives you self-knowledge, gives you knowledge of the divine. And any human being who does not have self-knowledge
Yes, sir.
and knowledge of the divine, I think he is lost in the wilderness of life.
Yes, Guruji.
So the moment you have self-knowledge, and the moment you know who you are, and the moment you have a very sensitive fathoming of the divine, then I think you are on very solid bedrock, and life begins to speak to you, and you begin to have a rapport with life. Otherwise, you may just be suffering life,
Yes,
and you may just be pretending to be a warrior when you're actually a coward, and things like that.
Yes, Guruji.
And so this opens the third eye.
It opens the
Jyotish opens the third eye.
Yes.
And it's not that the third eye is opened only for some people. No, it's not esoteric.
Yes.
The third eye can be opened for all, but they must be thirsty for it, they must have an appetite for it, they must be willing, and then the third eye can be opened.
Then this Vedic astrology can become a very powerful tool for people to really how to lead their life, how to make decisions in their life, and how to come out of their sorrow or whatever
Yeah.
challenges that they are going through in life. Gives them an enormous amount of strength and peace.
Yes, you put it very nicely. But let's go back for a moment to what Maharshi Parashara
Yeah, so that is
said
what
to
I
his
was.
disciple
Yes,
Maitreya.
yes, Guruji.
So Maitreya asked the question to Maharshi Parashara, how can one begin the study of this? He said, in order to begin the study of Jyotish, you must have faith in your masters, what the masters are speaking. Because the masters, they are not self-centered, the true masters, they are not self-centered. They don't have a secret agenda for themselves. They want to help you. And so if you do not have that faith in the master, what the master is talking, then it's like not being able to put a plug into the socket.
Yes, Guruji.
So then you're not going to be able to draw the energy from the master, because the master is opening windows for you.
Yes,
He is going to open your mind. Now you must yield there.
Yes,
You must yield and you must become vulnerable. So Parashara says that you've got to tune into the master, that's the one thing.
Yes.
You must have faith. Then he says, don't teach it to atheists, people who say that God doesn't exist.
Okay.
And don't teach it to people who are faithless, who can't accept the divine,
Yes, sir.
and who are not humble.
Yes, sir.
Because to learn you need humility.
Humility. You must
So
be
these are the
open.
prerequisites.
Yes,
You must be tremendously humble, otherwise you're not getting it.
Yes, Guruji. So before we go a little bit deeper into the Vedic astrology in terms of the study of it, can you share a little bit on the history of astrology itself, from where this astrology is actually coming for us,
Okay.
and the origin of it?
Okay. So as you and I know, Vedic astrology and even Western astrology has been rubbished by Nobel laureates
Yes, Guruji.
and by scientists who stand very tall in the world of science. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
They're very good thinkers, they're very brilliant people,
Yes.
but they made extremely caustic remarks on Vedic astrology, because there is a face of Vedic astrology which looks very obnoxious, because it is pandering to desire,
Yes.
and it is appeasing fear.
And fear.
And these are the lower things in man.
Yes.
So they're not able to respect it. Okay, to go back to your question, now they've got to go back to the era of Mahabharata. So 3500 BC or
Yes.
3000 BC.
Yes, Guruji.
And we have to go back to Maharshi Parashara.
Yes.
And Maharshi Parashara is just one of the 18 grandmasters
Yes.
of Vedic astrology. The other grandmasters are Maharshi Vyasa, Maharshi Jaimini, Maharshi Gautama, Maharshi Bhrigu, and Maharshi Pitamaha, and all of them they're there. And in fact, Parashara gives the names of the 18 masters.
Yes.
To when he teaches Vedic astrology to his disciple Maitreya.
Yes, Guruji.
And so now, but we should not say that 3500 BC is the starting point of the genesis. We have got to roll the horizon even further back, and maybe it goes to 10,000 years. And if we dig more into the genesis of Vedic astrology, there is abundant historical evidence to show that Vedic astrology was born from Vedic astronomy.
So yes, Guruji. So it's born from Vedic astronomy.
Astronomy, yes.
So what is the difference? How do we see astronomy with Vedic astrology? Because yes, in astrology also they talk about planets, and astronomy also talk about these different planets and the movements of that. So how what is the difference, and how do we is there any compatibility, or is there any comparison that way?
This is a very deep question, and usually good astrologers understand this very well, good Vedic astrologers. Like I was talking once to, I asked Professor Chowdhury to take me to Jantar Mantar
Yes,
in Delhi, because that's a historic place, and that is an astronomical observatory of yore. So I wanted to go there. So I had a very brief conversation with his son Rajesh Ji,
Yes.
and immediately it was evident that he is so clear about what is astronomy and what is astrology. So good Vedic astrologers certainly know, but the laity, the commoners in the mainstream, they do not know, and the people who are criticizing astrology, the astronomers, they do not know. Now, astronomy is the study of the motions of the celestial bodies, the planets, and maybe comets, and maybe distant stars. But the study of all that is astronomy. And that was possible because of very minute observation of the motions of these planets.
Yes,
Now, so in the beginning there was only Vedic astronomy by observation, because the senses are very alert. And then some bright astronomer, thinking became wayward.
Okay.
So he said, okay, when Jupiter is in this position, when Mars is in this position, that king declared a war, and this child got a smallpox. So he began to look, so he got a
Study
bright
that.
idea. He began to look for correlations between terrestrial events in the lives of human beings
Yes, yes.
and in the life of kingdoms, and planetary positions. So it was terrific amount of guesswork in the beginning,
Yes, sir.
because your knowledge is extremely fragmentary, just piecemeal, just a piece here, just a piece there, and then huge gaps in between.
Yes.
So that's obviously not knowledge. That's just bits and pieces of knowledge. So then now this process went on, because somebody got a breakthrough, somebody began to look for correlation between planetary positions and terrestrial events, earth events,
Yes.
like disease, like death, like birth, like war, famine. So began to study. So then this developed into an avalanche, developed into a huge avalanche.
So just like any new discovery happens through an accident and through just a mere observation,
Right.
and so that is how it started, astrology.
Exactly, that's how it started.
Okay, so it took birth from this whole astronomy into this.
Yeah.
Now, how do is there any differentiation? Because they also talk about planets, and this also, Vedic astrology also deals about planets. So how are we to understand in terms of these planets in astrology?
Okay, this is
How do we understand
very,
that?
very deep. You're asking very deep question. But let me just go back for a moment
Yes, Guru.
to the interface between astronomy and astrology. And there is obviously an epoch in the evolution of astronomical understanding of planetary motions, where there were astronomers in India, and they were very good astronomers, like Varahamihira. And then the characteristic thing about them is that they were astronomers and they were also astrologers.
Yes, both.
Yeah, because there are two volumes called Brihat Samhita, volume 1, volume 2, attributed to Varahamihira.
Yes.
And then modern day scholars, they have translated the whole work. Then you find that the knowledge is so pervasive. It's from alpha to omega. It's so pervasive. So an astrologer and an astronomer, he just does not know a handful of things, like he knows only the ephemeris, like he knows only moonrise time and sunrise time and moonset time and sunset time. No. His knowledge is too vast. It's all encompassing of the totality of life. Okay. So there were people in the transitional period when They were astronomers and also astrologers. Then what happened was, then a bifurcation developed.
Okay.
Like if you go back in the 18th century, then you find that physicists were also chemists, and chemists were also physicists,
Yes.
and physicists were also mathematicians.
Yes, yes.
Then there was a bifurcation, and they branched out,
Yes,
because each became very, very deep and very, very profound. So if you specialize in one thing, you won't have the time to specialize in another thing. So astronomy and astrology parted company with each other. But they parted company with each other.
Okay.
But there was a point in time when you go back when they were together.
Okay. So they became their own discipline.
They became their own discipline.
Yes.
And once they break and they go their own way,
Yes.
then an onlooker at Vedic astrology will be mystified, because he is not a Vedic astronomer. Because if he is a Vedic astronomer, then he knows that Vedic astrology is the application of astrological knowledge to happenings in the lives of human beings.
Okay.
So he'll be mystified by that knowledge. He won't understand that knowledge. And he will say, how come planets are ruling over men's lives? Men are born free and men have got the Atma Shakti. So he will raise every kind of philosophical objection to the validity of Vedic astrology.
Okay. Okay. So what kind of model can one really to understand Vedic astrology model? Because astronomy, yes, there is this planets and celestial beings and the comets and how they behave and what is going on, what gases and things are there, right? And but understanding astrology, what kind of model should one? How can you give that understanding, Guruji? Through which model?
Yeah, we'll go into that. But you see, one of the reasons why the scientists and the rationalists and the atheists, they're attacking Vedic astrology is that they take objection to the fact that the planets govern your life and that you are not the master of your life. That is the strongest provocation to their sense of power and sense of self. So they feel defeated the moment they come face to face with Vedic astrology, because it's like you pull the power from out of our lives. And you're given the power to planets, you're given the power to God. No, we don't like it, because we want to have the power ourselves. Now, that is really the point of contention
Yes.
between Vedic astrologers and all the rationalists and all the scientists who find it hard to understand this.
Yes.
Now, we have to know another thing. Now, both Vedic astronomy and Vedic astrology, they are not just there hanging in space. They are actually offshoots of a very profoundly spiritual civilization, the Vedic civilization.
Oh.
Yeah, they come from that ground, the ground of the Vedic culture, the ground of the Vedic civilization. And the Vedic civilization is divine-centric, is divine-obsessed.
Oh.
Because to whom? To the Maharshis, whether it is Veda Vyasa or it is Maharshi, Ramana Maharshi or some other Maharshi. It's a foregone conclusion that the divine is the master architect of this cosmic manifestation. It's a foregone conclusion. It is a realization which is self-evident and obvious to them. So whatever they speak, every word that they speak, it exudes that realization that the entire cosmic manifestation is divine-centric.
Yes.
They come from that, because that is their truth.
Yes.
That is what they realized and discovered in their life.
Yes, yes.
Now, having said that, because Vedic astronomy and Vedic astrology took birth from the Vedic civilization, so you would expect Vedic astrology to be divine-centric.
Divine-centric.
Divine-centric. Because like in the modern world, you look at the modern world, the creative men and women in modern society are scientists. They are not Maharshis.
Right.
But there was a time in the history of other civilizations where the creative minority were not scientists, they were Maharshis of India.
So they were the
rishis, yeah.
Ancient scientists. we can call
Ancient
them.
scientists, yeah. Though the word science is ill-befitting for them.
Right.
I have my reservations, but they are the creative minority.
They were the seers.
They are the seers, yeah.
Yes.
They are the seers. That's why Vamadeva Shastri, he called his book Astrology of the Seers.
Seers.
So it is the science and technology of the scientists. It's just like that.
Yes, Guruji.
Creative people, innovative people, having breakthroughs, making discoveries, and so many revolutions are happening.
So that is why it is very important for one to really investigate, like how one investigates into any scientific discovery, into scientific topics or disciplines. Even Vedic astrology has to be investigated, not just believed into.
Absolutely.
So when you say divine centric, the idea that comes to me as for common people, right, is okay. Now you have to believe in God. So that is itself is a restriction for many people in the world.
Right.
So divine centric means I have to believe in God. That's one question. And second thing is, then if I believe in God, then I have to follow somebody and listen to somebody. So I just want to really clarify that even though it is divine centric, but you're also saying it has to be inquired into, investigated into, and questioned into.
Of course.
Both has to be there.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. And it's not based on belief or even accepting it by an article of faith. No, it's not that.
Yes.
And because it's born from the mother matrix of the Vedic culture.
Yes.
So the mother matrix gives birth to this. Now the mother matrix has given birth to Ayurveda. The mother matrix has given birth to Indian mathematics. And you know that Ramanujan was a very spiritual mathematician.
Yes, good.
And he's very aware of the Vedic culture.
Yes.
And one of the deities used to come and give him answers to the elliptic integrals. You know that.
Yes, yes.
So the whole of this Indian thing is completely divine centric.
Yes.
And therefore Vedic astrology is not according to grandmasters like Varahamihra and all the other grandmasters who came after them. It's not the influence of planets on people's lives, but the planets just represent, the planets of astronomy, the celestial bodies of astronomy just represent the Navagraha Devatas and the Navagraha Shaktis. Now the Navagraha Shaktis are exactly like violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. The spectrum,
Yes,
complete spectrum of white light.
Yes,
You break up white light, put it through refraction, and you get the full spectrum.
Yes.
So similarly, the energy of the Divine Mother who creates, now her energy is the complete spectrum of these 9 energies, Navagraha Shaktis or Navagraha Devatas. The planets represent them. Now, in every Jyotish chart, the planets are there. Jupiter is there, Mars is there, Sun is there, Moon is there. Now, they simultaneously represent the physical celestial bodies, the planets which astronomers observe. At the same time, they represent Navagraha Shaktis and Navagraha Devatas. Now, this is so subtle that unless you get this point, your objection and resistance to Vedic astrology will not go.
Okay.
You got to understand this, digest this deeply in your veins and in your cells.
So this is not just some planets we
No,
are talking about.
exactly not.
Like astrology. See, in astrology, even though we are saying Mars and Jupiter and
Right.
Saturn,
Yeah.
they are not planets.
No.
That is something we have to be
You got to digest that.
be clear about.
They are actually the divine energies of the divine. Now there are 2 aspects of the divine.
Yes, sir.
The divine is the unmanifest, Shiva,
Yes.
and the divine is the manifest,
Yes.
which is called Parashakti.
Yes.
Now the Parashakti, when she manifests, the Big Bang, then immediately 9 cosmic energies, the whole spectrum begins to manifest. They are the planets.
So in that sense, it is divine centric
In that sense, it's divine centric.
because it's coming from this Devatas. So it's
Devatas.
not the planets.
No, no. In fact, Maharshi Parashara, in his Brihat Parashara Horashastra, in his dialogue with the disciple Maitreya, he says a very beautiful thing. You can also look at it that way. He says, because you got to understand that it's completely drenched in the divine centricity and the awareness of the divine.
Awareness of the
Completely drenched, completely inundated in that realization.
This itself is a very powerful,
Of course, it is.
powerful sutra or powerful
course.
principle.
Of course, and that is why while Western astrology is not actually embedded in the mother matrix of Christianity, it's not embedded, it's not, it is a separate limb, it has got nothing to do with the mother matrix of Christianity. But Vedic astrology is an inseparable limb of the
Vedanga.
that's why it's called Vedanga, a limb of the Vedas. A limb of the Vedas. It's inseparable. You can't pull it out. You can't amputate it and take out a piece and say, this is Vedic astrology. No. then it's not Vedic astrology. It is some other thing, it's some other lifeless thing.
Yes.
Because its life is the divine. Its life is the divine.
Divine. So it is in that sense. That doesn't mean that we should not inquire into it. We
Not
should
at
not
all.
question
Oh,
it.
no, no, no.
And we should be okay.
No. But inquiry with it's a
humility.
divine centric kind of.
So
With humility,
with
of course,
humility.
of course.
With
of course.
with an open mind to
course.
learn about
course.
yourself.
Of course. In fact, astrologers of yore in India, their communities, even today in Maharashtra, the community is called Daivagnyas. Daivagnya, the Sanskrit word, means one who has got an awareness of Deva or the divine is a Daivagnya. So all Jyotishis in India are Daivagnyas. They have awareness and understanding of the divine. Now, therefore an atheist cannot be a Vedic astrologer. Because if you don't have the understanding of the divine, then you don't know the head or foot of that subject. So how can you be an astrologer? You can't.
Yes.
So that's why these astrologers, they're very spiritual people. But some of them, because of Shastra Slata
Yes.
and the degeneration, might have lost the luster and the brilliance and the effulgence of the original Vedic astrology.
Yes.
That's a separate problem. So all the planets are the Navagraha Devatas, the Navagraha Shaktis, and that is central to Vedic astrology. And Varahamihira, Parashara goes so far as to say that all the 9 so-called planets of Vedic astrology, they are actually incarnations of the divine, even the physical planets. The physical planets are incarnations of the divine, because then that way he solves the problem of the religiosity of Vedic astrology.
Okay.
Because the planets amshas of the divine,
Amshas
straight
of the
away. You're thinking it's a material thing. You're thinking Mars has got water, it's got this temperature, it's got that thing, it's got 2 moons and things like that. It's telling, no, it's divine. Jupiter, no, it's divine. Saturn, no, it's divine. So every celestial body is divine. So Parashara, Maharshi Parashara, he solved the problem at the roots itself, so that you have no scope of trying to say that the planets rule your life. Because planets don't rule your life, only the divine rules your life.
Yes. That is one
and the whole of Vedic astrology, the thrust and the depth of it is to understand how this divine is orchestrating your life. That is Jyotish. That is Jyotish.
So how does one understand that orchestration? How is the divine really orchestrating and I have architectured my life? And that understanding, so how do we go about with that, Guruji? How do we, that is an amazing thing that the astrology or the horoscope gives us an architecture about ourselves, and we get to know who we are
Exactly.
at every step of the way.
Yeah.
So how do we go about with understanding? This is very exciting.
Now, see, this is a huge responsibility. I've got clients of mine,
Yes.
and they come from families where they consult traditional Vedic astrologers, and the families have that as part of the family tradition. So they go to Vedic astrologers. So then they come to me. Then the first question, embarrassing question I ask them is, okay, you've gone to so many Vedic astrologers, you've consulted so many people. What, according to you, is Vedic astrology? What have you learnt about Vedic astrology? They score a clean duck. Don't have the slightest clue as to what it is, which means that you never began thinking about it. Now, should you think about it? Should you dream about it? Should you speculate about it? Should you philosophize about it? Or it's just like a Margot soap or Lux soap which you go to the bazaar and give 10 rupees and buy a Lux soap.
I think that is how people understand Vedic astrology, is that
That's the rot.
Yeah, so Vedic astrology is something we just have to listen and we just have to follow.
Follow,
And whatever they say, we don't know anything about it. We can't.
He
know
knows
anything
everything,
about
we
it.
don't know
Yeah, he knows everything. The astrologer knows
and
everything.
probably he has a quick fix solution.
Quick fix solution for me, and every time they are
that's it.
asking for a solution. Yeah, I know you're telling me all these problems. So how do we fix it?
Yeah.
So there is no.
There is no
Inquiry.
understanding.
And even nobody is telling us that you have to understand Vedic astrology and learn and inquire into it, and so you can know about yourself. Nobody is telling that. Everybody is saying, okay, I know astrology, so therefore I will tell you what to do. You go and do these pujas
It won't
because
work.
I am telling you that.
It won't work.
This is all people know. people don't know the fact that astrology is a knowledge that one has to inquire and learn with humility and understand themselves. That is something nobody tells us that.
Yeah, we can take a very funny development which happened in our course, Jyotish course.
Yes, sir.
So I got this understanding willy-nilly, and I want to share it with others. So I started this online course, and all of you joined this online course and you wanted to learn with me. Then Anilji joined, and he, like everybody else, naturally will think that it is a 1-year course, it's a 2-year course. Then he asked me a question. So Guruji, when is this course going to end? So I said, no, sorry, it's not ending. It's a lifelong learning thing. You're going to be in touch with me throughout your life and dialogue with me, ask me questions whenever you want, and you keep on learning, and there's no end. And you're not going to get a certificate saying that you've done so beautifully, magnificently. And you may get a certificate, but that's not the thing. But the real learning is here.
Yeah.
And that learning is endless. It's like the Ganga and the Yamuna. It is Ananta Vahini.
Yes.
It is endlessly flowing. And you've got to get that. And it's just that I am just initiating you, and then somebody has to initiate you. I'm initiating you. Now you have to become your own teacher. You've got to become your own master. And once you are initiated and you go deeply into it, then you'll find that you start understanding a lot of things, and you start dreaming about it, you start thinking about it. The way it happened to me, the same has to happen to
So
you.
study your own life.
Study your own life to begin with. Look at all the enigmas in your life, why certain events happened, and are the events the machinations of the divine, or are they crazy events in which you don't see any order? What you see is complete chaos. You see complete chaos of your life. Then Jyotish shows you order in that chaos. That's Jyotish.
Order in the chaos.
In that chaos. It shows you order in that chaos. Now, most people don't want to face the fact that life is chaotic, because that's like opening the Pandora's box.
Yes.
Because if you open it, you can't close it.
Yes.
Yes,
People don't know how to deal with their
no,
challenges.
don't know how to deal
It
with
cannot
it.
be closed, perhaps.
Huh?
It cannot be closed.
They cannot be closed.
They can, because they don't know how.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
So-
there is pain and there is suffering,
Exactly.
and it's very painful, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Exactly. So Jyotish, that's where Jyotish comes, and you've got to, for example, Ramanujan's mother, the mathematician. Do you know that his mother was a Jyotishi?
Wow.
Yeah. And I know some Brahmin women who are Jyotishis. Okay. They pick up because they're interested, they start asking questions, and their brains work like this. Like B.V. Raman's daughter, Gayatri Devi, she's a Jyotishi. Okay, women astrologers. And there are a lot of women astrologers in the world. And Padma Priya Ravichandran, for example, she learned Jyotish from me. And Dawn, Masha Dawn, and then Sandra Moffin, they're learning Jyotish with me, and they will all blossom into Vedic astrologers. And so you've got to seek this out. Now, if you can't see, if you don't want to seek it out, then who can give it to you? Then all that they can give it to you is a set of rules. Do this, sit down, stand up, pray to that God, then do this Abhishek.
Do this
now,
puja.
watch this. Now watch this. This is just idiocy. This is not Jyotish. You have to understand the whole thing.
So it's a study. That is very
It's a
important.
lifelong thing. You've got to
Study.
get into it.
So how do we begin? How does one begin to understand this, to study this?
So I am, when I stepped into Jyotish, I am in the same boat in which all of you were, all of you are. Okay. Now I have a question with me, an unanswered question, like all of you have unanswered questions. Now I keep that question with me for years and years, even for decades, till I find an answer. That's my approach. Now, so I started in 1997, 1998, I started thinking about Jyotish. It actually came to me like rain falls on you. So it's a thing. An electronics engineer from an engineering college in Chennai, he made a prediction looking at my chart that in my later life, that I will study astrology very deeply. He made a prediction. No, it doesn't make any sense to me because I'm a student of science and not interested in astrology.
Yes.
And Professor Chowdhury himself did not know that he was going to blossom into a Vedic astrologer and a grandmaster. He told me he didn't know. And the blossoming happened when he was in Calcutta. He went on a professional assignment. And the thing, because the divine is actually orchestrating something in your life, and there's a mystery to it. There's a mystery to it. And you must go after that mystery. And that's when the study becomes very interesting, because then the study takes you into the mystery of life, into the mystery of the divine. Now, is this a mystery which can be completely resolved at the end of 24 hours or at the end of 2 years? No, the mystery deepens. It deepens. And
it's not that you will know everything.
No. You'll know a lot of things, but it's a question of expanding horizons. Just keep on expanding. And so I'm looking to understand Jyotish. And I was reading the Srimad Bhagavata Purana. And in the Bhagavata Purana, you have this Samudra Manthan, this Devas and Asuras churning the milk ocean.
Yeah, the snake, yeah.
And then immediately I got an insight into Jyotish, that this is the model I must have for Jyotish. Because all the Devas and the Asuras, they are the benefic planets and the malefic planets in Vedic astrology. And they are churning the milk ocean. So, this is the picture, they're churning the milk ocean.
Yes.
Now, the churning is, are they actively churning, or have you to press a button for the churning to happen? No, it's divinely programmed. So the churning is perpetually happening in our lives, in your life, in my life, in everybody's life. The churning is perpetually happening. Every second, every minute, every day is happening. So out of that churning of the milk ocean, sometimes good things come, sometimes bad things come.
Yes.
But the last product is moksha.
Okay.
So this is exactly like fractional distillation in chemistry. You know fractional distillation?
Yes.
Yeah. You keep on boiling petroleum or something, and then various products of distillation come out. And the ultimate product is the most refined product.
Yes.
And that's moksha here. So, and all the good events in your life, all the bad events in life, they are coming from that samudra, the mysterious life.
So, how are we to understand the samudra, the ocean? How are we to understand the ocean?
The ocean is your life as it is manifested and as it is continuing to manifest. And the devas and the asuras, they are given anthropomorphic form, that is, they are made to look like humans, but actually they are like cosmic life energies. They are more like your electricity, your magnetism, your sound energy.
Even the asuras?
Of course, both are cosmic life energies.
Okay.
They are cosmic life energies. And see, the moment you create, just like you get the north pole and south pole of a magnet, you get an electron-positron pair. The moment a photon creates, immediately it will create electron-positron pairs.
Yes.
So that is the duality of creation. So long as you don't create, there is no duality. Okay, there is oneness. But the moment you create, there is duality. There is good, there is bad, there is high, there is low, there is right, there is wrong. The moment you create.
Okay.
So in the manifested world, the good and the bad, the high and the low, the right and the wrong, they're there.
They're there. Both
Guruji,
are
is
there.
churning automatic?
Automatic, yeah.
It is automatic.
It's perpetually happening.
And the end result of churning, you said it is a moksha.
Moksha.
End result, that is, if you are fortunate enough to know that there is a final product of distillation, fractional distillation, final product, and you become a mumukshu or a seeker of that. You can only be a seeker of artha, or a seeker of kama, or a seeker in dharma, then you won't get moksha. You've got to go after it.
Then it is not automatic actually. Then
No, it is, no, even your seeking
it
is...
starts automatic, but then
See,
you
it's
have to-
automatic means the rising and setting of the sun, is it automatic or are you trying to put the sun in an orbit?
Automatic.
It's automatic. Okay. All the movements of the planets is automatic, right? Now that's a time machine. And this is a time machine. Except that it's you made it into an anthropomorphic model. That is, you're given to convey the idea that this cosmic life energies, the benevolent and the malevolent, they are living beings just like you and me. They are living beings just like you and me. They have the same Atma which you and I have. Atma Deha.
So can we say this Navagraha Devatas are part of us, are connected to us, they are inseparable of us. Can we say that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They are the, see, for example, you get a thought. Now, to an astrologer, it will be self-evident whether it's a Martian thought, it's a Jupiterian thought, it's a Saturnian thought, it's a Rahuvian thought,
Okay.
it's a moon thought. To him, it's self-evident. If you study the subject, it becomes self-evident for you that this is a Rajasic Rahuvian thought because it is greed.
Yes.
And if somebody is compassionate, you know it's a Jupiterian thought, it's a moon thought. And if somebody is making an extremely intelligent statement, you know it's a sun thought. It comes from the sun.
Okay.
So, so any thought that you have, any feeling that you have, that is the movement of the cosmic life energies, that's the churning. Every thought that you have, that's the churning.
Okay. So the churning is happening automatically, as Anilji was just saying that if the churning is happening automatically, but how are you responding to that churning is the journey. Is that how we can see that?
Very good question. Actually, it's like, think of it like this. We are all sitting in a theatre play. A play is going on. Kalidasa Shakuntala is going on, let us say.
Yes.
And you are a character in the play. Okay. You are a character. And now, so the character has pleasure and pain. So as a character in the drama, the divinely orchestrated drama, you got pleasure and pain.
Yes.
Now your basic nature is Ananda. And therefore you will always seek only Ananda and you will always try to abide only in Ananda. Whether society says it's a gross way or society says it's a subtle way or says it's a sensitive way,
Yes.
the fact is that Ananda is the only thing, is your wealth, is the only thing that you want, is the only thing you are living for.
That's your nature.
That's your nature, exactly.
Yes.
That's your nature. You can never get away from that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So once I saw on the TV screen Satya Sai Baba talking. Then my neighbor actually called me to her home and said, please come and watch what Satya Sai Baba is talking. So because she called, we went there. And Satya Sai Baba was, he was standing at that rostrum like that, and he was saying, Prema Swarupa Lara, he said. That is embodiments of prema or love.
Love.
Now that's the truth. That's the truth. But you got to find it out. You are that every moment. You can't be anything but that.
But that.
Every moment. But you think you're something else. That's the problem. You think you're something else. You think you're this body. You think you're Mr. So-and-so.
So people are not really, I mean, I'm just thinking about when you're talking about this model, I'm thinking about common people who have sufferings and challenges and anger and fear and anxiety, stress, all these people. In other words, can we say that these people are not really looking, the churning is happening, so people are not really looking into this churning, how it is happening, why it is happening, where is it happening, and not being sensitive to that. Instead of that, they're running away from that, far away, trying to find somewhere else for that happiness.
Yeah, they are finding, see the problem, the reason why man won't come to religion, the reason why man won't come to God is, we always say life has got a lot of pain. Yes, life has got a lot of pain. But we forget the other thing. Life has got too much of ananda. Life has got too much of pleasure. So the moment you are beaten by a misfortune, there is too much of pain. Immediately you will run to one of the ananda shops and you'll buy some ananda from there. So there is too much of saving grace around in one form or another. So you can pass 20, 30 years, 40 years, an entire life also doing a shopping of ananda.
Or we can call it pain management.
Pain management. That's what you're doing. Now, if you want to go deeper than this, now this is a superficial life. You want to go deeper than this, then you've got to go to a spiritual master who is genuine, or you've got to go to an master in astrology who necessarily is a spiritual master.
Yes.
And he will then guide you how to deal with that pain. You've got to learn to deal with that pain. And the churning is happening all the time. And
So
to understand that, so Jyotish is understanding this, understanding this drama. And so because if you don't understand the drama, then just think of a person who does not understand the drama. He is continuously bombarded by events which are coming from the divine orchestration, continuously bombarded by good and bad events. Good events he laps up because he is Ananda. Now bad events he does not like because the basic nature is Ananda. So
He doesn't
will
know
have
what
no
to do.
clarity.
He doesn't know what to do with
Doesn't
it.
know what to do. So he will do pain management as you are saying, and he will look for substitutes, and then life goes on.
So can we say here, Guruji, that to lead to ultimate precipitation, moksha, astrology can be one of the ways, like going to the spiritual master is one of the ways? Because here then you know what your thought process is. Otherwise it is a chaos for a layman. But now you know that it is a Mauritian thought, it is a Venusian thought, it is a sun thought. So you are really churning with awareness.
Right. You are watching the
So
whole thing.
we're watching. So can we say that it may ultimately give the precipitation?
It is a very helpful tool to throw light on the four purusharthas of life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So that is why the astrologer Venkatesha Daivagnya, who is the author of Sarvartha Chintamani, he called his book Sarvartha Chintamani. Sarva Artha, that is all arthas. What are the arthas? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, four arthas.
The four Purusharthas.
Chintamani is Jyotish. So Vedic astrology is the wish yielding gem, is Chintamani. It will give the fruits of artha, kama, dharma and moksha. Provided you know how to use that tool, you must know. Or somebody must be guiding you, he must know. And the important thing in the spiritual journey is, I said, we are all watching Kalidasa's drama, Shakuntala. And then you, as a character, you have to suffer and enjoy. Then there is pain. Now you have an option. You are a participant in the drama. You can also be a witness.
Observer.
Yeah, you can also be a witness. Now when will that happen? That will happen when there is too much of pain. Then you can no longer play that role, very painful role. Then you say, I want to abdicate, I want to jump out. I don't want to be that. So then you become a witness, a witnesser of the whole thing. And when that happens, you actually migrate from artha kama country to dharma moksha country. Now that's a real thing. You have got to the journey from artha kama to dharma moksha.
So is that coming out of that suffering and witnessing and observing, is that not running away?
We don't know. It may also be running away. We don't know. It will vary from person to person. Some people have come to me and asked me. A lady once asked me. She's an IT engineer, and she wanted to join a spiritual organization. And I found that she wanted to join an organization because she is afraid to face life. I said, sorry, I'm not giving you a clean chit. Go back to the world. Find a job, settle in the job, life will begin for you.
So they should not run away from the churning.
Escape route.
It should, yeah, the churning has to be there. You can be witnessing the churning, but not run away from it.
Even if you run away, that is in the churning.
Nice, that's so nice.
Whatever you do, you tell a lie, it's in the churning. Yeah. You do a good deed, it's in the churning. You steal somebody's wealth, it's in the churning.
So then why blame ourselves? We blame all, somebody else is doing it.
So in India, a lot of
They are
people blame the
control,
divine
so-
for everything.
Yeah.
No, it will just better.
Krishna was
So, Guruji,
Krishna.
so honestly, I've seen this picture in my school days. Probably after so many years, I'm seeing this. Right? I understood this is a cosmic life drama. The milk is, in the milk ocean.
Yeah.
But if you look at the ocean is so much agitated or a lot of turbulence, right? And there is a kind of war happening between the divine energies and the dark forces, right? So how, again, coming back to the question, how this we can relate to the individual lives?
Very good question. Very good question. See, while I've taken this model from Srimad Bhagavata Purana, it is sourced there. Now, there it is the macrocosm, correct? Cosmic manifestation. Now, there is a very important sutra which we will have to repeatedly use in all our studies, which is there also in Ayurveda. Yatha Brahmanda Tatha Pindanda. That is, as the macrocosm is, so will the microcosm be. If the macrocosm has a certain pattern, then the microcosm will have a certain pattern. So you take the entire cosmic manifestation. Now in Ayurveda it is said, so I also read the sutra in Ayurveda, Yatha Brahmanda Tatha Pindanda.
Yes.
So this entire body is supposed to represent the entire cosmic manifestation. So, and there are various kinds of siddhas who, by working with various bodies and with various chakras and with nadis, this is a very complicated nadi system.
Yes, yes.
72,000 nadis. Now by working with them and twanging on them like you twang a Veena string,
Right.
you can change things in the outer world.
Wow.
Now, that's the work of these siddhas. You can create healing energies, you can do so many things. But that is a very finely specialized knowledge of man. So come back to Krishna's question. So now I am applying this model from Srimad Bhagavata Purana. I am applying this model to the life of an individual. Okay. Now I am saying that if you understand this model, you will understand astrology. If you don't understand this model, astrology will be vague and mysterious, you will reject it. Now, the churning which is happening, when a dasha bhukti is happening, the moment a bhukti starts, one of the asuras is firing, that engine is firing. The next bhukti starts, another engine is firing, that can be a Devik engine. Next sub-period starts, that fellow is firing. So, it's continuous firing, and you can, it's not that a certain asura is firing and he will be firing for 2 years. No, you have to go to the sub periods.
Okay.
So when you go to the sub periods, antarbhukti, antarbhukti,
Yes, yes.
okay, then they are firing very fast actually, right? Because the sub periods are a very small time duration, maybe 3 days, 4 days. So it's like having several engine and several strokes. The engine is making strokes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now this is happening. Now when the engine is making strokes and it changes the stroke, then your thought changes, your desire changes, your outer life circumstance will change. So when one engine is firing, you might go and join a spiritual organization also. It is not running away, it is according to divine mandate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the microcosm, the horoscope is more like the microcosm.
Of course, and you are the microcosm. So it's happening. Now this is divinely orchestrated.
Divinely orchestrated.
This is this knowledge is coming from maharshis, that is coming from seers, it is coming from sages,
Yes.
who are not scientists, okay, but who have got a divine-centric understanding of life. Not a matter-centric or an energy-centric, but a divine-centric understanding of life.
Okay, great.
So this is their knowledge.
So if okay, now I have a question. So we made this bifurcation with astronomy and astrology, and now we are saying this astrology is all divine centric with all these bhuktis and all these thoughts changing and everything. How come then in astrology we use ephemeris, which is which is astronomy based?
Yeah, very good question. Because it was born, it developed out of the body matrix of astronomy. Okay.
Okay.
Body matrix, and so the earliest astronomers, they began to think in a weird way of applying astronomical knowledge and the positions of planets to earth events, to smallpox, to wars, to famines,
Yes.
and to birth and death.
Yeah.
And then the correlation started. So they're obviously using only that data. Now, while you use the data, now the interpretation of the data is different. So now think of what I am saying. Now I am suggesting something new.
Okay.
Now, there is Adiparashakti's dance here, cosmic drama. Okay. Now the same Adiparashakti, the Divine Mother, she is orchestrating the dance. Okay.
Yes.
Now she is orchestrating the dance of the planets. Will you agree with me?
This is orchestrating.
The dance of the planets is happening according to Adi Shakti.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
well.
Now, Then on the other hand, Adi Shakti also has to orchestrate your life, whatever is happening in your life.
Yes.
Right. Now your life is chaos,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But the movement of the planet seems to be very orderly.
Yes.
Now, because Adi Shakti is the source and she is orchestrating both the dramas, there has to be a one-to-one mapping between her footsteps in one territory and her footsteps in another territory. This is the mystery.
Okay. So even the planetary movements
This is Adi Shakti's thing.
is Adi Shakti.
Adi Shakti's thing.
Okay.
And so because this is easy to study, easy to know, so that is why that correlation, that mapping is working. Otherwise it won't work.
Okay. So
Because both are sourced in Adi Shakti.
so astronomers are not able to correlate to it. They are keeping that separate
Yeah.
and
They
not
are correlating
correlating.
it with matter actually.
They are correlating with matter, not with
And astrologers are correlating
the
it with
microcosm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
divine energy.
Yeah.
So, Guruji, you talked about time, right? Within the churning happens, right? And also when you said divine is orchestrating it, right? So, is it the sum of fruits and sorrow for a person is the same, or it depends on the churning or the time of the churn, what comes out good or?
Completely different, varies from individual to individual, because see, in the theater of a human body and in the theater of a consciousness, a life drama is going on in the theater. It's orchestrated by the divine. And you are both a character and you have a very rare and much unused option of being a witness of this drama. Most of the time, have you seen that film by Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times, where he gets into the cogwheels, he gets crushed? Have you seen that? Yes. He gets into the gears. Arunji, have you seen that film? He gets into the gears and he gets crushed.
Yes.
So you get into the wheels of the churning,
Yes,
and you get crushed. Now you've got the option, which you rarely use, human beings don't use, of being a witness. Now that is your salvation actually. That's your moksha. So if you don't use that salvation, get crushed, then jump and dance and enjoy. Both options you have. Jump and dance, get crushed. And it will come in alternative waves. Once you'll jump and dance, next moment you'll be under the wheels, get caught.
I have a question on the macrocosm and the microcosm. When you say the macrocosm, that energy level is constant, or that is also changing and modulating? If so, then the microcosm can tune into various frequencies and rhythms and keep modulating, or will it be unique?
No, that is why I said in Ayurveda, see Ayurveda, I told you this is the wisdom of Maharshis, what we are dealing with in Jyotish. Let's go to Ayurveda for a brief moment. Now, Charaka Samhita is in 4 volumes. Maharshi Charaka, Ayurvedic Vaidya, is in 4 volumes. Now, the early chapters are called Sutra Sthana. Okay, principles, fundamental principles. Because as I'm always maintaining, if you don't understand the principles, you will be a zero in the subject. So if you have to understand the subject, you have to understand the fundamental principles. Then you got to apply the principles to make sense. Now in the Sutra Sthana, the Atmic nature of man is central to Ayurveda. So the whole of Ayurveda says that man is formation of Atma, body and Manas, consciousness. And wellness or health in Ayurveda is the harmony between Atma, the consciousness, Manas and the body. So when that equilibrium and that harmony is off balance, is disrupted from the equilibrium position, then you have ill health. So when that equilibrium is disturbed, is displaced, then you have all kinds of doshas, defects. So then the body will not be functioning normally and in a healthy way. So the Ayurvedic physician, what does he do? He restores the balance. So your nature is called Prakriti, and your disturbed nature is called Vikruti. And the Ayurvedic physician takes the Vikruti with which you go to him and brings it back to Prakriti. Okay.
Yes, Guruji.
You could be Vata Pitta constitution or Pitta Kapha constitution, whatever it is. So it's gone off balance. Now he will do the restoration. He knows how to do it.
And they work with the gunas.
They work with the gunas, yeah, and the doshas. In Ayurveda, they are called doshas,
Doshas.
because they are manifestations in the body complex.
Yes.
And so this is, so the whole of Ayurveda is based on the understanding that man is the microcosm, and this microcosm has a one-to-one mapping with the macrocosm. And this is also the basis for many rishis getting cosmic knowledge. But unless you work at it and you are very trained, it won't happen. It's a potential which is there in man. And this is basically knowledge of the seers, of the Maharshis.
Yes, Guruji.
That is what you got to understand. And because the scientists don't have the world view which the Maharshis have, and the Maharshis' view is divine centric.
Yes, Guruji.
Therefore, the scientists will necessarily reject this system. They will reject, because it does not belong to their worldview.
And they're also not correlating it.
No, they have to be taught from fundamentals, from
Fundamentals.
kindergarten. No. It's like, let's say, a Maharshi, let's say Vedavyasa, is taken into the finer nuances of modern physics, quantum mechanics, theory of relativity. Okay, then pulsars, quasars. So the Maharshi is not going to understand anything.
Yes.
It's just like that. The Maharshi can't make head or tail of what the scientists are talking. He can't make head or tail. He knows that dealing with the cosmic thing, and all that he knows is it's stuff of Bhagavan. That's all he knows.
So, Guruji, one more question on that. So, what probably am I trying to understand? So, we are the karma karaka, and is there an opportunity for us to take some action, right? Do some karma, or is, I mean, just stepping back, what is that we can do, create that opportunity for ourselves to do a good karma? Is that we have to, and you kind of touched upon dharma, is that the way towards we march towards to get
See, somehow the Atma got associated with a very finite individual body, and the Atma is behind the scenes. Now, there are so many bodies like this body, so many bodies, infinite number of bodies, practically 6 billion on planet Earth, and therefore there is the question of harmony between all these bodies, and that harmony can truly come about, and not as a face saving device, only if there is a divine centric understanding that everything is the oneness of life. It's just diverse manifestations, that everybody is that Atma, and that therefore you will not harm anybody, you will not hurt anybody. But there may be times when a war may be warranted, when it is right to wage a war. It is right, as in the Mahabharata context, it is right. So Krishna is telling, hit your grandfather, hit your guru, because this is a war of dharma versus adharma. So everything depends on the context. What is right action, what is wrong action? So the whole of Buddhism uses the expressions right thinking, right speech, right action. Now that is dharma. So you got to find out how to be dharmic in your dealings with other human beings, and importantly, much more importantly, in your dealing with yourself.
Yes, sir.
Because most people are leading conflict-ridden lives. Because you have taken your power and given your power outside, and you're saying all power is with God, and you have no power. So you are behaving like a very petty rat. I'm putting it very brutally.
Yes,
That's the truth. I'm putting it brutally because I wanted to make a dent.
Yeah, because people are also stuck in this suffering. They don't know how to come. It's like that wheel, right? What is that rat wheel? That's called.
Rat race.
No, they go into
Labyrinth.
the wheel. They got caught into that.
Caught in that.
So they need to come out of it.
Yeah. So
Amazed.
I have a in continuation with it, Guruji. So now we are talking about this Devik and Asuric model. Now, what about this central pillar and the Godhead who is there?
Oh,
So yes, because that seemed to be, how do we see that in the, and that seemed to be not there in people's lives.
yeah. The central pillar is the Atma.
Central pillar is the Atma.
And the feeling which all of us have of being, not being something, but just being per se, okay, just being and feeling very good. That's the tip of the iceberg of the Atma. Atma is very deep and infinite, and the Atmic pillar goes straight to Parabrahma. Goes straight to, this is Parabrahma, the real divine, the unmanifest divine. So the name in Christianity is Father in heaven, the name in Islam is Allah, the name in Hinduism is, if you are a Vaishnavite, then it is Mahavishnu is the correct name for Parabrahma, and if you are a Shaivite, then the correct name is Parameshwara, and if you are a Vedantin, then the name is Parabrahma, no Nama, no Rupa, formless, nameless.
Okay, great.
So Vimala Bodha Chakshushaha, that is, how can it be discerned, how can it be understood? Shankara says, Vimala Bodha Chakshushaha, that is, by the eye of stainless wisdom, that is Prajna, that can get at that truth.
So that Godhead is the unmanifest.
He is the unmanifest, yeah. He is behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. So that is why nobody can answer the question, who is the divine, what is the divine, where is the divine? That's the divine mystery.
Mystery.
Yeah. Now you got to find out. Now, when you do find out, you will be so shocked because you'll find out that you're married to the divine. That's the discovery you got to make.
And also in this whole journey, as you're saying, all the devatas, the planetary, all the planets and the energy that flows, everything is the manifestation of it and the forms of it.
Yeah.
We are still part and parcel of it.
Completely. And you can see here Adi Shakti.
Yes,
she is Adi Shakti. Now she is the dynamic aspect of the unmanifest divine. The divine is playing a double game actually, because on the one hand it is nameless, formless, birthless, deathless, beginningless, endless. That's the divine on the one hand.
Yes.
Then it is also beginning a mischief called, it is a mischief. Called creation.
Playing
now the
game.
one
Correct.
and the energy which creates is coming from him, but you think he is Shantamurti, that he has no energy, he has got no Shakti, he is only Shiva, that's what you're thinking. No, but Shakti arises from the ground of Shiva.
An emanation.
So you can see here from Adi Shankara's Viveka Chudamani, they have given artistic expression to that. So the blue colored body is the unmanifest divine. That's why it's blue colored. Neela Megha Syama, blue colored, is unmanifest. Sarvantaryamin, Sarva Bhutantaratma.
Yes.
Everywhere. There is not a place where he is not present. Okay. Now out of that ground arises the Adi Shakti. Just see the picture.
Yes.
Out of that ground arises the Adi Shakti. Now Adi Shakti is very splendorous and adorable and beautiful. Now Shiva is a mendicant.
And dormant.
He is nothing. He is passive. He is behind the scenes. He is nobody. He is in Kaupina.
But he's there everywhere.
He is the source.
He's the source.
He is the source. Now to understand that mystery, to actually discover that mystery, that's moksha, that's the goal of life. Got to get there. Yeah. To solve it originally for yourself, you have got to solve it.
So every individual, it's very important that every individual studies themselves, study their horoscope, really to understand themselves.
Yeah. And to find out how you're connected to that.
And they can solve their mysteries in life beautifully.
Understand, may not be solving.
See, Einstein made a statement
Yeah.
that I believe, as the ancients dreamed, that pure thought is capable of apprehending the divine, apprehending reality. He didn't use the word divine, because reality. So now, I found in my experience that where there is complete integrity in a human being, Manasa, Vacha, Karmana, Trikarana Shuddhi. They are completely aligned. They are like this. Okay. Then you are connected to the divine very strongly. The plug is in the socket.
Okay.
But you won't know because you are that.
You're that.
You won't know. If you are different, then you may know that, but you are that. Then what the particular thought comes here as desire, that thought is automatically fulfilled. Because he is giving the thought, he is fulfilling it. That is how you will know Tattvamasi, thou art that. You are that. Maharaj's book is called I Am That.
Yes.
Because his plug is in the socket.
Socket.
Gone home. So that you got to work on the puzzle and solve it yourself. You got to solve it yourself. You will solve it. You just have to undertake. You are solving so many problems, and anyhow you are not a small rat trying to create an equation. Rat is equal to Parabrahma. No. You are already the Parabrahma, but wearing a mask of a human being. Therefore, the decipherment as to who you are. Who are you? Ramana Maharishi's question. Who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah, that is actually not difficult when you are hungry for it. Not difficult, no.
So does all Vedic astrologers follow, or not necessarily this model, Devika, but any kind of model like that, or?
Oh, you are asking very good questions. Not that I know, this is my model for Vedic astrology.
Yeah.
This is my model, because my problem is that I won't be satisfied if I don't understand it 100%. My spirit won't rest satisfied. So this is my my original model, which I got from Bhagavata Purana, applied it to the Pindanda and the Brahmanda.
Yeah.
And the Jyotish chart just represents this. And the engines are firing. They are firing every bhukti, sub-period, sub-sub-period, sub-sub-period, they are firing. That's the thing.
Okay, so it's your model that you also mentioned about when you're talking about the macrocosm and microcosm, you mentioned it's a sutra. That what is a sutra? How do we understand this? Because you from what you're saying, every aspect of life and every churning or every challenge that happens in life must be understood with a sutra.
Right. Now that is the most basic thing. A sutra is a principle actually, and in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that all the worlds, they are strung on me like beads on a necklace. Sutre manigana iva. Okay, they're strung on me. So he is the thread. He is Parabrahma. He is not Krishna, the human personality, no.
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita is not given by Krishna, the human personality. But in India, Krishna, the human personality, has become everything for you, and Parabrahma doesn't exist for you. Okay. You are obsessed with the body of Krishna, with the form of Krishna, you are far away from the truth. So the Parabrahma is that string which integrates and connects everything, which is the life of your life.
So that is why you say it cannot be seen.
Yeah, cannot be seen.
The thread cannot be seen.
No, it's unmanifest. You can't see it. And you got to indirectly infer it. And so applying this principle, so let's say you have Newton's laws of motion.
Yes.
Now you have only Newton's 3 laws of motion, first law, second law, third law. Now with that, are you able to explain a million different motions of tennis balls, cricket balls, footballs and planets? Right?
That's good.
Right. So the tennis balls, the cricket balls, the football, the planets are the beads. And Newton's laws is the one string which can account for every motion in the world.
Yes.
So now that's a principle. Once you get that principle, you can apply the principle in hundreds of different places. Immediately it will make sense.
Okay.
So that is how you have to think. You have got to come always from fundamental principles. And from fundamental principles, you have got to approach any problem that is given to you, any challenge that is given to you, approach from principles.
Principles.
And then
Okay, so when we are studying our horoscope, when we are reading ourselves because we are trying to understand and learn about ourselves, so each movement or each position of the planet in our horoscope must be understood with a sutra, with a principle.
Definitely.
Then that is how we must go about with each aspect of ourselves.
Definitely. The greatness of Professor Chowdhury is that he has discovered hundreds of new sutras.
Your sutra.
They are all a posteriori sutras, not a priori sutras. We will come to that later.
Yes, Guruji.
But they are all inferred. He didn't have the sutras in the beginning.
Yes, Guruji.
So he looks at charts, not able to make sense. Then the chart suggests the sutra.
So he questioned into it, he inquired into
Yeah.
it, he investigated into it.
Yeah.
So that is how he is able to put each bead into the.
Right.
Okay.
So we have to always work with sutras. You will find that you give me any Jyotish problem, immediately I'll start by applying sutras. Now I consider these sutras like you see carpenters, they've got a toolbox
Yes, Guruji.
and they've got about 50 tools, screwdrivers and spanners of various sizes, nuts and bolts and screws of various sizes, and any problem that you have in the home, the carpenter will be able to fix because he has got that tool. He will know which tool to take out and which tool to apply.
Yes, Guruji.
So similarly, the astrologer's toolkit is the toolkit of the sutras. Now, good astrologer is one who has got a good repertoire of the sutras.
Sutras.
Yeah, his archives is very good, and his case studies are very good. He has got that box, toolbox. He has got all the sutras. So any problem that you bring, immediately he'll know. He'll apply the right sutra, and he'll make sense of it. And that's how you make predictions.
And even an individual, when he is studying his own chart,
Yeah.
can study those or number of sutras, which will help him to understand himself.
Of course. You've got to first understand your chart. Part of the beginning study begins that way.
Then it becomes easier and to go deeper and understand other people's also.
Right, that is right, yeah.
Okay, Guruji.
You can take that.
Yes.
It's refusing to ring.